charts its Make in India dream, some of the companies are already making in India. I'm not in the UK, the US or China. I'm right here in Bengaluru at the UTC Aerospace Systems facility in Bangalore. They make products and systems for aircraft like this emergency chute for all big aircraft manufacturers around the world. We'll tell their story and many more. Hello and welcome to Budget Yatra. And to tell us more about this fantastic facility here in Bangalore is Head of UTC Aerospace Systems, Mr. Chris Rao. Thank you so much for joining us on Budget Yatra on CNN IBN. Thank you, Karma. Interesting stuff you've going on here.
Is the only factor can prevail for tomorrow. Now when Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, is making Make in India, and that Make in India, our all MSME brothers have to gear up with the zero defects and the quality cannot come cheap.
Most of the things you use, your watches, your cars, your laptops, phones, you name it, will have to go through some aggressive testing. Even the nose on the tip of a Sukhoi fighter jet is tested. And some of the testing may have been done by the environmental testing chambers made right here by CME Systems. More recently, a few components of the Chandrayaan. If you talk about the missiles, Prithvi, Agni and the BrahMos, even they went through the environment testing chambers of this company, which is innovating and believes in quality. So we are now joined by the founder and chairman of the company, Dr. Jacob Prasta. Dr. Prasta, you work with the biggest companies that we know. You worked with the Chandrayaan project testing of some of the components there. You worked with global automakers. Also Sukhoi, the cone of the Sukhoi is tested in one of your environmental chambers. When you look back to your journey and look back now, what is that one belief that kept you together till now?
The one belief what is in my mind was I have to do something differently, a different product where nobody does here in India, and that dream I have achieved today, and confidently tell you we are in the process of going to become globally number one, maybe another 10 years time.
This is one of the environmental testing chambers. What happens here?
So this is an environmental test chamber. So we simulate temperatures of up to -70 to +180 degrees centigrade in a closed space. So what a customer would do is basically place their specimen inside of this chamber and test it for different environmental conditions so that he's able to understand how it would perform in a diverse climate range.
So that's an antenna. So what does that? It's got a SIM card, and it connects with your systems here in Bangalore, no matter where this machine is. But I would wonder, why would you need a SIM card and a GSM connect for a machine like this?
So So this is an environmental test chamber and it is run on a continuous basis. So people do quality and reliability testing in this equipment. It is critical for the manufacturer that this machine is always up and there is no breakdown. So what we do is that we have all critical parameters of this equipment monitored on this system. If at any point in time any of these parameters go beyond a healthy bandwidth, this GSM modem will ping an FTP server and that will send a message to our customer support team as well as our local representative in 18 countries.
Right. So it's really like an aircraft engine, the modern aircraft engine, which keeps sending a continuous ping to a ground station via satellite, telling if there are any problems. So it happens right here?
So initially what happens whenever there is it doesn't even go to the point of breakdown. So what we do is we maintain quality so that if there's a zero breakdown policy which we do. Because for any customer, they're testing aerospace parts, they're testing automotive parts, which are very critical. So we can't afford any breakdown at any point of time. So whenever we have some parameters here on the computer, which as you can see, so whenever something goes off, there is a red light which blinks on here. As soon as that happens, that doesn't mean the machine is under a breakdown, but then we get a message wherever the chamber is through this GSM modem that something is off in this computer, and we get an email of what might be the problem. And we proactively go to send a customer the email, or we can connect through it via our remote monitoring system like this, and we can rectify the problem even before there's an actual breakdown.
Okay, so one, the customer cannot lie to you, and two, you don't have to fly somebody to a Japan location or any location.
For us, the primary objective is to make sure the specimen which the customer is testing doesn't undergo any interruption in between. So that is our primary focus. It doesn't matter if they lie or not lie, because for us, when you're traveling in a car, you need to be sure that your car is reliable, your flight is reliable. So that's what we ensure by doing this.
Right. So reliability of components, equipments, even whole cars are tested in these environmental chambers.
In the same chamber, we have two zones. Bottom is a cold zone and the top is a hot zone.
Put my phone there. Will it freeze and not work again?
A company who manufactures your phone would have done this testing, and they would say, I want it to work in Russia. Russia goes up to minus 45. So typically, this should not fail.
Okay. And when that phone goes up after a minute, what's the temperature there?
Plus 180 degrees centigrade.
Well, I really don't want to risk my phone. So, how do you see that the quality of the materials, raw materials that you get for the stuff that you make is always at par with your global peers? Because you only have global competitors right now who are top in the game.
Yeah. So, like you said, competitors are German, Japanese, American companies. So for us over here, the basic problem is to source these parts. So now we have to source them from local Indian companies. Here we see that the procurement policy, like what the government or the PSUs have, is mostly on lowest tender L1 basis. It drives all these companies just to make cheaper. Cheaper would mean lower quality parts. So that's really not what we're looking for. We're looking for the best quality parts. We're ready to pay a price. For example, our own product, from the price level at what we are to what the global competition is, it's nearly double in some cases. So here we have that. So can we bridge that gap? Get better quality parts, get better quality systems onto place. So like I said, the biggest challenge is to source these from companies who are aware of this, not just running behind cheaper and try to get the lowest quality, or the lowest price. So that's what we have to keep balancing, try to get that and see and ensure that we get the best quality parts to build the best quality systems.
Dr. Krasta, interesting, isn't it? We were talking earlier and you said, had you stuck your company and placed it competing for that L1 all the time on that tender, the lowest bidder, would you have reached where you are today?
No, and never. It was not possible, because this is what I want to pass a message to our MSME brothers, that quality is the only factor can prevail for tomorrow. Now when Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, is making Make in India, and that Make in India, our all MSME brothers have to gear up to the zero defects and the quality cannot come cheap. So what my suggestion even to the government is, when you tender it, there has to be a technical specification and a financial bid. There should be two bids. Only when you qualify the technical specification, financial bid should be open. It should not be only L1. L1 is not the factor in which the government has to decide. Otherwise, MSME brothers have forgotten to make a quality product.
For a man who's been at the shop floor, for a man who's built his company from scratch, what would your vision be as far as Make in India is concerned? What do we have to do for the next 5-10 years?
In 5-10 years, if at all we tap the resources what we have, where 60% of our population below 30 years should be provided infrastructural facilities and the financial facilities and the support to enterprise. Only when you enterprise, Make in India can happen. It is not that large industries in the globe has to start manufacturing. Once they start manufacturing, they become a parent company and their substitute should have a small scale industry supplying the components to them, and this is how Make in India can be made in India.
Right. Professor, thank you so much for joining us here on CNN IBN. Well, that was our report from here. Our budget yatra continues here on CNN IBN.